Will a golf ball retriever perform as a stakeout pole? It's expandable, and I've squished down the tip. Let's see, and I'll compare it to my stick-it pole this week on Kayak Hacks. Now, one of the problems I've noticed with this that is if you expand it, twist it tight, and then push down as you're driving it in, most times it's going to slip. So that's a consideration if you're going to use this as a replacement for a real stakeout pole. See how it slipped when it went back in? Even though I had it out and cranked down, when I put it in through my anchor trolley and push, it collapses. The good news is that it goes into this soft sand pretty easily. It's a pretty good outgoing tide, and you can see that the golf ball retriever, even though it's short, is holding in this shallow water on a sandy bottom. The total length of the pole, as I've got it deployed right now, is probably 3.5 feet or so. Now let's test the penetration where there are oyster shells interspersed with the sand. To do this, I drove both in fairly close to each other, but not into the same hole, and I wanted to measure the amount of penetration. So I squished each in and then pulled it out, and you can see how much farther the stick-it pole goes in as opposed to the golf ball retriever. You can definitely power this one through these oyster beds more than you can do this one. But this only costs 15 bucks. This costs 60 bucks. So, you know, how much do you really need a stakeout pole versus using your anchor? That's kind of the question you need to ask yourself.
Right.
And like on a day like today where we're going to fish on the rising low tide, I think the stakeout pole is going to be the answer to control exactly where the boat sits in our ambushed position. But for 15 bucks.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, if you only need a stakeout pole that's about 3.5 feet long, this golf ball retriever is going to work fine in a sandy environment.